Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
Welcome to this week's episode of First and Goal. This week we've got Prime Time 000. We've got Dmues. I got the meats. And one of the newest members, I say the newest, but I think we've had two more since, but we've got Doc with us now. How's everybody doing
sir.
today?
What's up?
What's up?
Just got back from Canada pretty good.
So as anybody watching can tell, and actually you guys can't even see it yet, so they'll be able to see it at the same time you guys do. We got a little bit of a new look. We'll see how everybody likes this, but we'll just jump right into it. First topic, who's the best Madden player who's no good in real life? And no, we're not talking about Tiny or anybody in the SML. We're talking about Madden players and who's the best one in the game, but is actually pretty much garbage in real life. And we'll start with you, Prime.
Yeah, if we're talking actual SML owners, I would say Dan, because that guy's a snake in the grass. But let's and no, Dan, you can't hide behind the book. So now here's the truth here. A guy he's like an up-and-coming player in the NFL, I think, but in the SML, he's going to be not only good this season, but a force for a long time, is Dawson Knox of the Buffalo Bills. He's a tight end. He's 24 years old, superstar dev. This season alone, he's got 63 catches for 10 touchdowns. I think in real life, he's actually having his best year in real life right now. He's got 4 or 5 touchdowns. But in the SML, I mean, this guy's got 88 speed. You know, in the Faz offense against that defense Meats has with his crappy user, Dawson Knox is going to go off in that division.
I have the number 1 passing defense in the league.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So what do you think, Dmues?
I hope Dawson Knox can put up the numbers for my fantasy team, but I was gonna go Anthony Schwartz, but I didn't want to go against you, Bomber. I think that would take another running right away. So my official answer here is Tanner Dmues.
Okay.
Only because I've played him twice this year and he's wrecked both of our games. He's a linebacker. In real life, he's on the Seahawks practice squad, but in the SML, he's a force for the first place Detroit Lions. I think he's 5th in the league right now in tackling. He has 3 forced fumbles, 2 INTs, and really you could put any no-name 90 speed linebacker in this spot if you put a good enough user with them, and QP's a good user. Tanner Dmues has 90 speed, so that's my answer. He hasn't done anything in real life to note. Like I said, he's not even on an active roster, but in the SML, he is a force to be reckoned with on the defensive side of the ball.
All right. And Doc, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to go with the cliche answer of John Ross, but I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert on this one. I mean, the guy has 97 speed. He's the Tyreek Hill of running backs on Madden, and if you get him, you can break a couple of runs on any play, but in real life, I mean, the dude is basically a glorified track star. He probably should have been in the Olympics, and not the NFL, but he can't stay healthy. You know, they at least need to bring his injury level down on Madden. But we're going to talk about that later too, Prime. But yeah, I got to go Raheem Mostert. He's a cheat code on Madden.
All right. And Meats.
So I kind of want to go off based on what Dmues said. You can pretty much say any like 90 speed linebacker. Just a couple off the top of my head: Cash Malia, Javen White, Shaquem Griffin. I think the Raiders are using Divine Diablo or something like that. Some dude that's got 2 tackles in real life, but he's like top 10 in the league in tackles. But on the other side, I mean, speed kills. So it's like, so my answer for this one is going to be, I guess I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Dan Chisena or something like that. Dirty Dan on the Dirty Chargers. He's got 96 speed, but he's a 65 overall. I've never heard of this guy. I can't imagine he has more than a handful of catches in the NFL. And yet he's got over 900 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. And Dan just has a knack for really turning those no-name players into really good players.
That is true. All right. So surprised nobody said John Ross. Doc brought him up. That's obviously a pretty easy answer there. So let's talk about this momentum and late game handling. What do you guys think about? Does it change the way you handle a late game situation, being that momentum can swing so fast, and then kind of be a little overpowered, or at least help the team get back a lot faster than maybe they could last year. And we'll start with you, Dmues.
Momentum definitely changes my strategy. I think it's impacted a lot of my games. I feel like I've either lost by a lot or won by a lot in most of my games this year, and I think momentum's had at least a part of that. I know one of the momentums in these games is the defense can see your like primary receiver, so like the red route whenever you're throwing the ball, and that actually happened to me in my last game. So now you have to think about that because there are some plays where if they have that main route, they'll know the whole play. There's a limited number of like concepts in Madden. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting there calling plays. I'm like, well, does that red route give this play away in this formation, or what can I do? And things like that. You need to be aware of. You need to call more audibles, more hot routes. Be more mindful of your play calling. I've also noticed situations where, there's all kinds of different skills for the teams. It really depends on the home field, but I think it definitely changes how people call plays, how the game plays. I don't think there's any way to say that it doesn't, just based on things like that, like part of your hand showing in a late game situation when you need first downs and touchdowns.
All right, great job rambling on to get extra points. Doc, what do you think?
Man, I think it absolutely changes it. I mean, we're playing on 7-minute quarters, and then once the momentum changes, you're kind of playing a uphill battle from there. And if you look at it, a lot of the momentum, abilities are against the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you have to do when you're down late, in a 7-minute game? You got to pass. So I think the momentum definitely affects the game. And once you're behind the curve on that, it's really hard to bounce back.
Okay. I was thinking more from the perspective of being ahead, but that makes sense too. Meats, what do you think?
All right, so I know I'm going to be in the minority in this probably, but I really don't think momentum affects games all too much, whether it's late game or just in the regular. In reality, I think there's maybe like 3 or 4 M factors that are really overpowered, like that ice kicker one where you always have to kick with icing. That definitely affects games, but I think overall, it does not affect my play calling, because even if I know that my red route is being seen by the defense, I'm just not going to throw it to him. I probably wasn't going to throw it to him anyway. And most of the M factors that come up most often, I know they're like weighted or something, is like, okay, you're less likely to fumble. Okay, cool. I really had conservative carry on anyway if I'm up by this much. I really don't think it's really a big deal at all.
Okay, and Prime, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess looking at it from 2 perspectives here. I know Dmues hit on it. The primary route one, which I think, in my opinion, is easily the most overpowered one, because you can tell when a guy's running, you can tell when a guy's throwing. I played J Smoove, and he completely fell apart when that primary thing popped up. Now, if you're J Smoove, what he should have done is use that to his advantage and try to put in route combinations to attack my user, which was obviously going to follow that primary route. Something to consider, though, late game situation. I had it happen with the desync glitch, which we're going to have to look into, is how do you recreate momentum if you're restarting a game? You just go fresh, or what if a game's close right at the end of the game and it's the momentum bars all the way to the right hand side and it's a big game change? Who knows what you do? But yeah, at the end of the day, there's some guys who get a little emotional about the shaky screen and stuff like that when I really don't think they need to. It's a fun part of the game, and I'm glad EA added it, actually.
Yeah, definitely like it. All right, so topic 3, and we just talked about, does momentum change late game handling? Let's just go ahead and name names here, Doc. We'll start with you, but of the guys in the SML, and obviously your viewing has probably been a little limited since it's only been a few days, but who are the worst late either game or half managers you've seen so far?
I'm new, so I had to do a little bit of research, and this had nothing to do with the comments that were made earlier today in the chat, but I got to go with Tiny with the Eagles. I just happened to look, I searched on Madden who has the worst, turnover differential. It's definitely Tiny, really no surprise, but -17 on the turnover difference, that's just terrible. And he has like 10 fumbles. It's pretty bad. And he's like bottom 15 in first downs and also conversions as well. So that's kind of like he's either getting up and giving away with turnovers, or he's just completely just mismanaging the game from the half. So I got to go with Tiny on this one.
All right. Well, in Tiny's defense, I will say he sucks pretty much the whole game. So, Meats, what about you?
Yeah.
You've seen a few more games.
Yeah, I mean, Tiny's, he's not a good owner, so he's gonna suck in the fourth quarter. He's gonna suck in the first quarter. That doesn't affect anything. I'm gonna go with the most recent example that I can possibly think of. Earlier today, Spooky World. That's right. I'm going to you, Spooky. It's October. I'm coming to you. He was up. No, it was a tie game. He was on the 36-yard line. He had a 53-yard field goal to win. And he decides to pass it with no timeouts and 6 seconds left on the clock. He decides to pass, but nobody was open. So what's he do? He takes off up the middle and gets tackled and has to go to overtime. So he passes up a 53-yard field goal. Could have won in regulation. And instead, I mean, he did end up winning the game in OT, but, win it in regulation when you can. And I've just seen that far too often with Spooky. When he's not getting blown out, he's in close games most of the time. So it's going to be a recurring issue until he learns to fix that.
Can I comment on that? What a genius statement. When you're not getting blown out, you're in a close game.
Yeah, very observant there, Captain Obvious.
Hey, he could be blowing them out, but he's not.
All right, Prime, what about you?
I have a point.
So I've got two guys actually, and I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid here. My guy, Coach Pauly, I don't know why, but he can't run a 2-minute offense to save his life. Like, he sits there. And I watched this in the playoffs last cycle, and then I watched it before halftime in the game Bobber and I called. He slowly sifts through his pages to call a play, and it gives me anxiety even watching it. I literally just want to break my computer because it's so slow. Another guy is Matt. He'll take the 3-yard check down, run a draw play, do just all these just really slow-moving plays. And I watched a game against U-Bomber, I think it was, where he had a chance for a Hail Mary, and he just took a 15-yard throw because he's like, well, Haskins probably couldn't have got it that far anyway, so I'll just take the 10-yard pass and get tackled, and that be the game. What kind of weird, stubborn theory is that? That's terrible. That's terrible. Awful. Terrible.
All right, and Dmues, what do you got?
My answer was also Spooky, and it's funny that Meats mentioned that today, because I remember a game earlier in the year. I forget who he was playing, but he was in field goal range, down 3 with 8 seconds left, and he could have kicked the field goal to tie the game. He had no timeouts, and instead he rolled out to the right with Joe Burrow and just chucked it over the middle in quadruple coverage and threw a game-losing interception. And that's the memory that I had stuck in my mind for this question. But really, there's a correlation with anyone who is high on the interception list. You can typically watch the last 2 minutes of a half in one of their games and see them force throws down the field that lead to back-breaking scores on the other end. But yeah, Spooky's my answer.
All right. So Meats, we'll start with you on this last one. But of the trades, the trade deadline's come and gone. Of the trades that went down this first season, what do you think was either the best or the worst ones?
All right, I'm going to go worst trade. And I know this was probably RD, not Jace move, but RD traded his first-round pick and Cleveland Farrell, who's 24 and a star dev, away for Von Miller. Von Miller's a great player, but he's only going to be around for maybe 2 seasons tops. And now you're not going to get your first-round pick, which is looking like the Raiders are not going to make the playoffs, so it's going to be around the 15 mark. And Cleveland Farrell, which is a guy that could have taken Von Miller's place, who's not going to be there anymore. So that's just a really bad trade, in my opinion, for the Raiders. As for the best trade, I talked about this the other day. I'm going to that Titans-Bucks trade, and I think it's an amazing trade for the Bucks. They traded Gronk, AB, and a second, and they get the Titans first, which as of earlier was the 11th overall pick or something. So you trade 2 backups, 2 aging old backups you're not going to re-sign, and you trade up 45 spots. That's a great trade, textbook right there.
All right, Prime, you're known for your trading one way or the other. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Finn's trade, I think RD made a bad trade there. I also think that Field made a bad trade, like Meats had mentioned. I'm just going to have to improv because those are actually my two here. And I'm going to say that, hey, whatever chance I can get to hate on Dan, I'm going to take it. And he traded Herbert, and now he's going to go into this offseason because he's not going to win the Super Bowl this year. And he's going to have to spend an early pick on a quarterback. And he's going to have to hope that he even gets a quarterback because there's a million teams fighting for a quarterback. And if not, then he's going to have to roll with Jared Goff for another season, and he'll probably be good enough to make the playoffs, win a game or two, but that's not going to be good enough to win a Super Bowl. So now he's got 2 seasons gone before he even gets a rookie quarterback, and then the rookie's going to play for a year, so that's 3 seasons before he's even got a great quarterback, all because he got weird and he traded off Justin Herbert, who's dominating in Detroit, which is the best trade, is the move by QP, who's now a Super Bowl contender with that Lions team, and he still has a first-round pick or 2, I believe.
Yeah, still has a first in each of the next 2 seasons. He just got rid of his extra ones. All right, Dmues, what do you think?
Glad I had 3 trades written down because you guys stole my first 2. Except I would have gone reverse of Meats there. I think the Titans sending out the first is one of the worst trades, especially since they may not make the playoffs here. But NYT trading a first-round pick for Jordan Love has not really worked out so far. Right now, Jordan Love has 27 touchdowns and 35 interceptions, and NYT's on the outside looking in for the playoffs. I know he still has a chance for sure to get in, but as of this recording, he's on the outside looking in. I know he's tied with Grams, though. But if he doesn't make the playoffs and that pick is in the teens and Jordan Love continues to struggle down the line, that trade could look really bad in hindsight.
Okay. All right, Doc, what do you think?
All right. I'm gonna kick it off with the worst trade. I see now why you guys say don't trade with Prime. The trade from the 49ers to the Chiefs, Raheem Mostert for a 4th, a 3rd, and a 2nd. Like, and we're playing on the old draft class at that, so you're probably gonna get some 60 overalls with those picks. And you trading away basically the Tyreek Hill of running backs. You're not gonna see another 97 speed halfback in this Madden. So that has to be the hands down the worst trade. He gave him Jared McKinnon, but what's he doing? So the best trade, I got to go with actually reverse of what Prime said, the Dan and the QP trade. I actually like that trade a lot. If you look at what they're doing, if you're the Lions, you got an up and coming, quarterback in Justin Herbert. You got your future right there, way better than Jared Goff. And then I played Dan. I think my second game here. Mm-hmm. And Dan really doesn't need he's not asking a Patrick Mahomes performance from his quarterback. He's going to dump it out to Eckler. He's got this fast guy coming on a dig, not complicated routes to throw. So I think that's enough for Jared Goff to manage. And he's also, got the 2 first picks from that too. So I got to go with that's the best trade in the league. You see they're both having some success from that trade.
Yeah, I think it'd be tough to argue with Dan's success since the trade. So with that, that's going to do it for this week's show. And this week we've got Doc actually wins it with 58 points. So these 30 seconds are all yours.
Oh, man. Hey, big shout out to KJ for giving me his team, man. Much respect to KJ. Hope he's doing good. Also, we took advantage. We got to take advantage of Discord. We got to get some channels in there. Let's get a Twitter channel, a media channel. Let's get some game of the week stuff. Let's get stuff going. I'm willing to help with that. And then last of all, man, this New York Giants team is depressed. Can you guys please lay off of my free agents? I cannot re-sign them at the moment. I need my dog Jabril Peppers. I need the big dogs to come back to New York so we can win this conference next year. So yeah, that's all I got, man. Bless up.
All right, so Doc trying to get some popularity points with the Discord and maybe get his free agents back. Good use of your 30 seconds there. Appreciate you guys being on. We'll have another show next week, and till then, this has been First and Goal.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.